First of all, I want to dedicate this class and until this war is over to the soldiers who are fighting for us, who are putting their life in danger. Apparently, they're in Gaza since Friday night, I think, and that's very scary. Just the thought of them entering, I don't know how they're doing it. And don't underestimate your actions. In Tanya, we learned how the klipa gets energy from the holiness, right? It's funny because always next to the holiest place, the neighbors are going to be the worst people, right? How come right next to Israel are the worst human beings that is on planet Earth, that are right there, the ones that do the most atrocious thing? Because they're the klipa getting off energy, literally in a physical sense. They're taking the energy, right? Israel's providing energy for them, but in a spiritual sense, they're also taking the energy from the holy land, from the holy people. And what's the way to fight this klipa? Is by doing a mitzvah. Every time you do a mitzvah, every time you elevate, right, food, that's klipat noga, that's regular klipa, that's not, that's neutral klipa, you take away their energy. So by doing a mitzvah, by bringing more light, you're taking away from their energy and weakening the evil side. So don't underestimate your action. This is how I'm taking it. I can't be there in Israel and help them fight. I can't be there and help people that are in distress in Israel. But I can help by strengthening the side of Kedusha, by giving classes, by praying, by doing a mitzvah, and by removing and weakening the evil side. What's wrong?
I forgot.
The bracha you can still say. You want to say it? So it's Hadama. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Borei Peri Ha'adama. Okay. So last week.
Is this a prayer for all food?
No, every food has a different. Yeah. Okay, so last week we were in the middle of chapter 44, which spoke about love. Okay, the chapter before that spoke about fear. Remember, love and fear are the foundation of every emotion. To have a healthy relationship, you have to have a healthy balance between love and fear. And the most healthiest and greatest and really the only relationship is our relationship with God. After everything else is those around us are all relationships to help us understand and connect to God. So what's the perfect relationship? Is first to start with fear of God and awe of God, and then go to loving God. So we were up to the love of Hashem. There's a story that happened in last week's Parsha of Avraham, who left Israel. He was living in Israel with his wife. He left and he went to Egypt because there was a famine. And in Egypt, I guess there was food. So they went down to Egypt. Before going to Egypt, he saw his wife Sarah and he said, wait, you're beautiful. The Egyptian men are going to want to take you. So in order that they don't kill me, you're going to tell them that you're my sister and they're not going to kill me that way. Because if I'm your husband, they can't take you and they're going to kill me. So there's a question. And then what happened? So then Avimelech, the king of Egypt, takes Sarah. And of course, God protected Sarah, and he was plagued and got into such horrible things that happened to him that he realized this was a holy woman. And then he found out that she was married, and he went to Avram and he said, how come you didn't tell me this was your wife? He was all upset. And Avram answers him, well, she's also my sister because she's the daughter of my brother. He married his niece. Avram married his niece. It's okay. It's actually not. There's nothing wrong with that relationship. I believe there's a mitzvah to marry your niece, of course, if it's age appropriate. So the question is, the Zohar asks the question, why did Avraham, who's the founder, who's the forefather, who's the founder of Judaism, who's the first one to connect to God, who's the perfect example of a well-balanced, healthy, loving, giving human being, how can he put himself first before and say, oh, I don't want to get killed, so tell them you're my sister? That's so selfish. So the Zohar answers, he says that actually Abraham knew that Sarah was on a higher level than him. He knew that Sarah for sure will be protected by God because she was on a higher level, but he wasn't sure that he would be protected. He wasn't sure that he said, I'm on a lower level, I might not be protected. So Sarai saved my life. You're going to be safe for sure. Save my life and tell Paro that you're my sister. That's the Zohar's answer. Chassidus is not satisfied with us. And Chassidus always goes even deeper and says, no. This story is to teach us something much more deeper. It's to teach us the relationship, the real good, the healthiest relationship a husband and a wife have. When Avram went down to Egypt, he left the intimacy, this holy place of Israel, to go to a strange place of Egypt. There was famine. There was no food. The spiritual, what it represents in a spiritual way is that Abraham I can't say that Avram in a relationship, but it represents a couple. Sometimes they can have a time when they leave their sacred place of intimacy, or when they don't feel that that passion and fiery love that they first had. It can be a time of famine when the love is not there, that excitement is not there. And the Torah tells us that whenever you don't have that fiery, passionate love that you had in the beginning or had once, you should turn to the love of a brother and sister. That your spouse, some people, they say, oh, I stopped loving my husband, or I stopped loving my wife, and that's why they divorced. They don't have that excitement for them anymore. But the Torah tells us, no. This is when you turn to the love of a brother and sister. Your spouse is not only a stranger that you met and fell in love with and connected to, they're also intrinsically connected to you. They're part of you. They're like a brother and sister. Like a brother and sister is connected no matter what. There's nothing that can break them apart. Even if they can never divorce. Brother and sister are always connected. So the love is always there. It's just never fiery. It's never passionate. But the love between a brother and sister will always exist because you're born together. You come from the same family. You come from the same parents, the same flesh and blood. So it will always be there. In a couple, you have to turn to that love sometimes. You have to know that that's also important. That the love, the passionate and fiery love, yes, it's beautiful. But sometimes you can come to a time where it's famine, where you don't experience that love. And you have to turn to that love of brother and sister, where that other person is like your flesh and blood, and that love is inborn, it's innate, it's part of you, and you cannot separate. So this is what we learn from Avram when he said to Sarah, now this is the love we have to turn to, like brothers and sisters. We're part of each other no matter what. We're connected no matter what. Siblings, their love is like water that's constantly flowing. It's calm. It's always there. It's placid, but it's always there. It's just very calm. And the love between a husband and wife is like a fire, where it could go out if you put water to it, but when it's there, it's very strong and very fiery and very passionate. But it can stop, just like a fire when you pour out water. When things, different challenges in life, different things, routine can stop that fiery love. And that's where you have to turn to the love of a sister and a brother. Hashem, that's a relationship that Hashem wants to experience with us. In Shir Hashirim, which is written by Shlomo HaMelech, which is like psalms that are very high, very holy, he writes this pasuk that we learned last week called Dodi. I even put the song. I don't know if you had time to listen to it. A beautiful song called Dodi Dofek. My beloved one is knocking. Open up. Achoti Rati Yonati Tamuzi. Open up, my sister, my spouse, Yonati, my dove, and my perfect one. So these 4 words represents 4 different love that Hashem wants us to have with Hashem, that Hashem wants us to have with us, that we can experience with Hashem. The first one is the achoti, is the sister, right? Instinctive love. Hashem wants us to feel close, just like a sister and a brother feels close. It says that there was a story of I don't remember the exact story, but basically the sister, something happened to her brother and she was so nervous that he got hurt, and when she saw him, she hugged and kissed him in front of everyone, and she said, "I'm not embarrassed because it's my brother." Why did it bring that? Oh wait, my mother's wants to join. Hi, Mom. So why did it say that? Because when a brother and sister hug or embrace, there's nothing embarrassing, or it's not immodest. But when a couple kiss in front of people, it's something that has to be done privately. It's immodest, okay, according to Torah. I know today, not everyone says, not everyone follows that. But the idea is that achoti, the sisterly love, is an instinctive love. It's a natural love. It's a love that you don't have to be ashamed of when you're hugging and embracing in front of other people. That's the first thing that Hashem wants to feel. He wants to feel that brotherly, sisterly love between us and the Jewish people. Then it says Ra'ati. Ra'ati is a spouse. He wants to feel the level, the fiery love, the passionate love. Avat olam. This represents the worldly love, okay? So how do we understand Avat Olam? Avat Olam is actually a love that's very important. We can all experience, and we have to all experience and work on. It's a love that you experience through life. Whatever you desire, you love, you experience, you see, you understand, instead of just focusing on the actual thing, physical thing you love, you say, oh my God, find the godliness inside of it. For example, some people are crazy or, crazy over superstars or very famous people. But if they remove themselves or take a step back and realize that those are creation from Hashem and they're just a reflection from Hashem, and if they love this person so much and they think that person is so talented, or they love whatever music they're doing or whatever it is, imagine how great Hashem is if this person is just a creation of Hashem. Imagine how much greater is Hashem. And this is how we can experience love in Hashem, a fiery love, through the world, through things that are not godliness, right? This world is the opposite of God. But through experiencing all these things that you love and desire, and understanding that it really comes from Hashem. So imagine if Hashem is the creator of this, how much more He is so much greater than all these things you see. It should bring you a love through the world, through experiencing the world. And this represents the love of a husband and wife, which is a love that a husband and wife are strangers, right? They started off not knowing each other. And what's the excitement is that they're two strangers connecting. Well, strangers not anymore, but they're not connected with anything besides, being together. So that is the same love that we experience when we experience the world and when we're attracted to different things in the world. This love comes from the world of, let me just see. Remember, there's 4 worlds, and these 4 worlds represents different love. So this love comes from the world of Bria, of creation, because you're creating something that wasn't there before. Before, you didn't know that person, you didn't have a love or a connection to that person, but now that you're married or you're with that person, you suddenly created this passionate and big love. That too should represent the love that we have towards Hashem, where by thinking and by experiencing the world and thinking how it all comes from Hashem, we create this passion towards God. This love is talked about a lot in Chassidus. It's a love that we should try to work on as we live our lives, as we experience life, as we feel life. We should find the godliness within everything, and this can awaken a passion and a fiery love towards Hashem. Then there's the third word, Yonati. Yonah is a dove, And this apparently, I don't know, I've never seen this, but apparently doves look at each other. The two birds, they just stare at each other. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay,
I
I've
know
never
that.
seen it. Did you ever see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so they just stare at each other. So Yonati represents.
I have a lot in Paris.
Oh, there's a lot in Paris? That's so funny. So this represents the love, Ava Betanugim, the highest level of love. Let me see what world that is. Yes, that's the world of Atzilus. The world of Atzilus, this love, remember, this love comes only from God. It comes the highest level of love, which is called Ava Rabba or Ava Betanugim, is a love that one receives when they work on their fear of God. When they're able to work on being a perfect empty vessel, their ego is not there anymore. They understand the greatness of God and they understand their nothingness, or they stop understanding because they realize they're nothing in front of Hashem. They are able to attain the highest level of fear. They receive as a gift from Hashem a love from above, Ava Rabba. And that love represents Yonati, the dove that look at each other for hours in each other's eyes. It's a love that just stays, that's just there. You don't need much just to look at each other. It's the love of pleasure. It's the highest level of love. And it comes from the world of Atzilut. This love only tzaddikim experience. And finally, Tamoti, which is my perfect one. This love includes the instinctive love and the Avarabba, but it doesn't include Avasailam. So this comes from the world of Asiya. It's also a very high level of love, my perfect one, like the perfect level of love, but it does not include the level of Ra'ati, the level of being a spouse to someone, of the level where you experience it through the world. So again, Hashem wants to connect with us, wants to love us in all these different kinds of level. We just have to either think about it, meditate upon it, right? That's the first two loves. The love of Avarabba and Avat Olam, they come through meditation. So Avarabba comes through working on your fear of God and on having a perfect fear of God, and then you receive it as a gift. And Avat Olam, which is the love we could experience and we could work, comes through meditation, through thinking, through everything we experience in our world. You think about it and you find the godliness within it. And then there's two other loves that are instinctive. They're part of us. We inherited it from Avram Avinu, so it's in us. All we need to do is we need to uncover the mud or whatever is blocking it. We have to just bring it out. There's the love of that of excitement to live, right? That excitement that you have to live, that you always want to live. Yes.
I want to do something else.
So go find something else because I'm in the middle of class, okay? So that love of life. Why does someone love life? Is so excited by life? If something threatens his life, he will or she will fight to be alive. What is that? That is a love for God that's innate, that's within us, that we're born with, that always wants us to be alive because we want to be connected to our source, which is Hashem. So we are not aware of it when we experience it, but by thinking about it, that's how we reveal it. Also, that same love is when you are tired and want to go to sleep. You want to reconnect with your source. When you wake up in the morning, you're excited. You want to wake up. That's all a love. That's called. Let me just see what's the name of this love. It doesn't have a name, but it's just yes. Yeah. Play in the other room. It's a love of life. Love of life. What is life? What is life? Life is Hashem. Life really represents our source of life, which is Hashem. So when we're excited to live, This is because we have this love and excitement for Hashem that we don't exactly put one and one together until we think about it, and that's how we reveal it. The second love is something hidden deep within us, and I said at the challah bake the other day that how is it revealed? It's revealed when we're challenged, when our Judaism is challenged, when our life is challenged. Either give up your Judaism, or we kill you, or someone is killed for being Jewish. That love was given by Moshe Rabbeinu. It's a love between a father and a son, or a child and a father that wants to do everything for his father and is so scared of being disconnected from his father. I really believe that this story, or this horrible experience we had 3 weeks ago on October 7th awakened that love, where you see people wanting to reconnect to their Judaism. You see soldiers who weren't religious before putting on tzitzit. They never wore tzitzit before, and they had to make a lot of tzitzit, so many tzitzit for all the soldiers. That's huge. Okay, you see this love that was awakened within it. It was always there. It was always there. It was just hidden. So we don't feel it. We can go a whole lifetime and not feel it. But when we're challenged, like we were challenged 3 weeks ago, it wakes up this love that's given to us from Avram, and that was developed even more with Moshe Rabbeinu. He had this deep love, like a father to a son, like a father to a child, where you want to do. This love should bring you to action, to doing Torah and Mitzvot, because you know that Torah and Mitzvot is what will connect you to God. So that it should lead you to action. Our whole purpose of existence in this world is to know of Hashem's splendor and to know Hashem, to understand Hashem. So every time you learn, every time you think about Him, every time you connect and try to find the godliness in your life's experience, you are revealing more and more God. And everyone will experience it in a different way according to their level of knowledge and their level of work. So everyone will have a different experience. One person cannot experience the same thing that another person experiences. One person can't love God the same way that another person loves. The only thing that is connected is that love that's hidden within us, that love of life that's part of us, and that love that of a father to a father and a child, that relationship between a child and a father. That's the only thing that we're connected. That's the only love that is the same by all of us. But all the other love that you have to use your mind and think and experience and understand and be more aware of God's existence, that will be different for every single one, every single person. There's a story. I don't know if I said it last week, but I might say it again. Okay, if you heard, there's a story. The Baal Shem Tov, he wanted to explain to his students what love of Hashem means. So he took his students out to the field. Did I say it last week, Donna? Do you remember?
You talked about the Baal Shem Tov, but I don't remember.
Okay, so he brought them to the field, and over there they saw a Jewish shepherd, watching sheep, and he was talking. They were far away, so they let him his own space, and they were just listening and observing, and he was saying, Hashem in heaven, I love you so much. I love you so much, I'm going to sing for you. And he sang his voice out until he didn't have a voice. And then he said, Hashem, I love you so much, I'm going to dance for you. And he danced until he couldn't. He was doing all these moves until he was exhausted. He said, Hashem, I have nothing. I wish I had more. I have nothing. I only have one coin. I want to give it to you. And he takes his coin and he throws it up to heaven. And the story goes that it didn't come down. They didn't see the coin come down. And the students were able to experience someone whose love is so great towards Hashem, and I don't know. I thought it was interesting that that the coin that Hashem responded in, I guess whatever that means, but the relationship between us and Hashem is very important. It's what should lead us to doing actions. It should lead us, if we have the proper fear and love of Hashem, it should lead us to actions, to doing things that are good, that will connect us to Hashem. Any questions? I want to just review a few stuff before we conclude chapter 43 and 44. It says that there's two levels of fear. There's the level of fear that that makes you feel small, right, and insignificant, and then there's the higher level of fear that comes with shame. Shame a lot of time is looked at as a negative thing, but over here we see that shame is healthy. In every emotions, there's the bad side to it and there's a positive. So what is healthy shame? Healthy shame is realizing how great God is and how you're ashamed that you're feeling something or taking up space, because Hashem is everything. So who are you? You're ashamed that even you are able to take up space. That healthy shame, that is healthy shame, and that is the highest level of fear. Yes, go ahead.
Doesn't that kind of contradict the fact that as being things, people, whatever, made by God, it kind of... je vais le dire en français.
Oui, dis-le en français.
D'un côté, on devrait avoir une sorte de honte d'être si petit, si insignifiant par rapport à Hachem, mais de l'autre côté, c'est Hachem qui makes us so grand, because we are what he made.
Right.
So, and he cannot make something that is...
So I don't think they contradict each other. You can feel in front of Hashem.
Both of them.
I think yes, you should. That's the balance of having fear and love. Mm-hmm. Fear makes you small, takes away, you remove yourself, and love expands. Right?
Yeah.
So if you have the perfect balance between knowing that you're nothing in front of God, but still being loved by God, that's where you are something. You can find that perfect balance.
Okay.
So yes, that was a good question. Also, something that I thought was interesting, that I said it a few times, but the more I say it, the more I understand it, is the example of a sun and the sun rays. Okay, all these are things that will help you understand or reach to that level of, or try to even touch upon a little bit that level of fear and that Tanya talks about. When you understand that a sun, right? If you go to the sun, do you see the sun rays? No, within the sun there's no light. The sun rays are only what you see outside, far away from the sun. So when you see a sun rays, you can feel it. You can feel the warmth. You can, you can't take it, but you can still see it, feel it. When you go to the sun, it doesn't exist. This is how you should view the world. So the world does exist. You see it, you feel it, you experience it. But when you go to the source, the world doesn't exist. The world is just a reflection of the sun or of God. This is a thought, okay? I don't know why I said it so many times. I didn't understand it. And then when I was reviewing what we learned, I was like, oh wow, the world. So at the same, because people can say, oh, does the world really exist, right? I have to be insignificant. Maybe like the world doesn't exist. God is the only thing. We're just imagining it. No, you're not imagining it. We don't imagine sun rays. We see the sun rays. We feel the sun rays. Sun rays burn us, right? Mm-hmm. So we're not imagining it. The world, we're not imagining it. We're experiencing it. It's really there. But at its source, it's only the imagination or the reflection of what Hashem wants us, what Hashem is portraying, So at the source, it doesn't exist. Do you understand? So I don't know. I just thought that was something that I finally understood. Something beautiful also. The word ve'ahavta. What does ve'ahavta mean?
Ve'ahavta has to do with love.
Yeah.
Ve is and.
Exactly. Ve'ahavta, and you should love. Ta
should
is
love.
you. Ve'ahavta, and you should love. The word ve'ahavta, if you do the numerical value, I don't know if anybody's interested in doing it, but it comes out, do you want to try? Ve'ahavta. Vav is, do you know how much vav is? Is 6. Aleph is 1. Hey is 5. Bet is 2. And Tav is 400. So that makes 414. And if you take the word Ar, which means light, Aleph Vav Resh, which is Aleph is 1, Vav is 7, and Resh is 200, so it's 207. You see that in Ve'ahavta, there's 2 times lights, right? Ve'ahavta is 414. Ar is 207, which is half of 414. In the word Ve'ahavta, there's 2 lights. The first light is having Yira, and the second light is having love. In order to reach love, you have to have Yira first. Yira is fear, awe.
Okay.
So in Ve'ahavta, there are 2 lights, right? Ve'ahavta is 414, and it's 207 times 2. 207 is R, is light. There's 2 lights of Ava and Yira. In order to have perfect love, you have to start with Yira first, which is something that the world doesn't always tell us. The world only talks about loving. It doesn't talk about fear. But in a relationship, whether it's a relationship with your child, with your spouse, with your loved one, with your grandparents, with your parents, with your friends, it always has to proceed with respect, with Yira, with a part of you where you remove yourself. In order to have the proper relationship, you have to remove your ego, yourself, and then you can love the other person. That's how you can have a healthy relationship that will last and that will be balanced. And again, I'm going to end off with Avas Olam, because Avas Olam is very important to understand. Who can tell me, you know what, I'm going to ask you guys, who can tell me what is Avas Olam from your understanding? Avas Olam is the Ava, is the love that Chassidus always talks about and tells us we should work on, and we should work on all the time. Who can tell me what they understood from Avas Olam? Marie, est-ce que tu as compris Avas Olam?
Tu peux répéter?
Alors, Avat Olam, l'amour du monde.
Du monde, oui.
What can you tell me about this love? Because this is the most important love that we have to work on. This is the whole Chassidus is based on this love.
So that's love of everything.
It's experiencing.
Everything, because it's
is what?
Because everything is God, and God is everything. So it's that love for.
It's not a love of everything. I would say it's a love through experience.
Yeah.
It's being able to experience the world and find godliness. To take all your love and channeling it towards God. Okay, this is huge. This is a huge thing, because a lot of, Hasidim, they separate themselves from the world, or different people, everyone has their different kind of views of how to experience the world. But in Hasidus, it says, no, you have to experience the world, and you have to find godliness in the world, and you should, whatever emotions you have, instead of connecting to the context of that emotion, you remove the context and you focus on the emotion. Why did that emotion come? Why are you experiencing this? Where did that come from? You remember, I don't know if I told you last week, the story with this man, this simple, very simple man who saw a princess walk by, and he told the princess, "Oh, you're so beautiful, I want to be with you." And the princess says, "In the cemetery." She responded, "In the cemetery." So he wasn't so smart. He went to the cemetery and he waited for the princess. And he was waiting there, and months, weeks, I don't know how long he was waiting, but that emotion was expanding and expanding to the point where it made him more refined, a refined person. and people would actually come to him for blessings, and he I guess it through that experience of him loving someone he can attain, it brought him to a higher level of where he started off before. So this teaches us how in our life we experience different feelings, we experience different things. We shouldn't push them away or ignore them. We should try to see how, by removing the context, we can elevate this experience and we can find godliness within that experience. And this is what my class ends up with. I'll see you next week.